people-to-people peace-building efforts between Israelis and Palestinians. I want to note that today's hearing comes on the heels of House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Meeks's recent congressional delegation to the region. I was honored to join Chairman Meeks on his visit, the first official congressional delegation since the pandemic, where we met with new Israeli government leaders, USAID implementers, and civil society groups. We also met with Palestinian youth, civil society, and business leaders, and the leadership of the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah. Of course, this visit did not take place in a vacuum. We arrived with the backdrop of a new government in Israel, a diverse coalition, a remarkably diverse coalition from left to right, including the historic participation of the Ram Party, as well as coming right on the heels of May's conflict, the war that Hamas launched against Israel, and the tension in Jerusalem and the recent protests against the Palestinian Authority. And while we felt a certain sense of optimism, I absolutely was optimistic looking forward, it was also clear through our meetings that there is a pressing need to re-engage on all sides, the U.S. and Israel, the U.S. and the Palestinians, and Israelis and Palestinians together. Both Israelis and Palestinians have vibrant civil societies. Organizations across the political spectrum work to engage the public and to create proactive movement on critical issues facing both peoples, from water and climate to transportation and justice. Underpinning these programs has been long-standing U.S. support for grassroots organizations that bring together Israelis and Palestinians to work on the very issues that affect both populations to help build bridges and establish common ground. Since 2008, the United States has provided over $100 million for conflict management and mitigation, CMM programs. Many of us have had the pleasure of meeting with some of the recipients of this funding over the years. Kids learning coexistence in Kids for Peace, youth coming together through music in the Jerusalem Youth Choir, parents grieving children lost to the conflict at Parents Circle, teachers sharing professional development, environmentalists working together on water and agriculture. It's a very long list. These programs form the foundation of coexistence. They allow children who have spent their lives separated from what they may only know as the other to get to know kids with the same interests and the same hopes that they have. They foster a new generation of leaders that break down barriers to peace. The United States is on the verge of a substantial new investment in people-to-people programs through the Nita M. Lowy Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, MEPA. This bipartisan legislation, which was signed into law last December, creates a two-track approach to helping to build the foundation for peaceful coexistence between Israelis and Palestinians, and for a sustainable two-state solution and an initiative to promote Israeli-Palestinian economic cooperation. The Lowy Fund will distribute $50 million per year for 5 years to the People-to-People Partnership Fund for Peace, run by USAID, and the Joint Investment for Peace Fund, run by the Development Finance Corporation. For the past decade, CMM programs had received roughly $10 million per year. The Lowy Fund will provide a significant scaling up of programming and, as the Biden administration has already done, restore programming funds to ventures between Israeli Jews and Israeli Arabs and between Israelis and Palestinians. In 2018, the previous administration made a decision to restrict funds. We have an opportunity with the Lowy Fund and the Partnership for Peace Act to, as I said, reestablish bridges and seek common ground. The funds already pledged by the Biden administration, as well as the funding expected to come online from the Lowy Fund in December 2021, represents an opportunity for the United States to really double down on our effort to build peace, even in the absence of any sort of peace process. In fact, in the absence of political talks, it is all the more important to support these grassroots efforts. Too often, Israelis and Palestinians are only thought of in terms of the conflict, but behind the conflict are so many people who aspire to live their lives in peace and security and dignity and rights that should be guaranteed to all of us. We have to change perceptions if we ever want to bring about lasting peace. And I would say to my colleagues, I make no apology for supporting Israel's right to live in security and to defend herself. I also challenge all of us to put an end to the idea that being pro-Israel somehow means that you don't care about Palestinians, or supporting the rights of Palestinians to have their own state means that you don't care about Israelis' right to live in security. At the same time, I would say for those who make the argument wrongly that somehow to support the Palestinians means also to oppose the existence of the state of Israel, this doesn't advance peace, it does a disservice to those that we're going to hear from today who are working so hard to help lay the foundation for meaningful and long-lasting peace. We have a responsibility in our own right to break down barriers and stereotypes, just as those who bravely participate in these programs are doing. We are honored today to be joined by an esteemed panel of experts, Ms. Rothbart and Ms. Majdalani. I want to specifically say to both of you that the work you and your organizations have done to keep peace and hope alive is making a real difference. I've seen it firsthand when I've met with students and activists who participate in these programs. They represent the future that we need to invest in. I look forward to today's discussion, and I now yield to the ranking member for his opening remarks.